There you go. What's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode. Today we're going through the best exercises for chest and how to grow these guys.
Chest day, big chest day. We're going to pick our top 3 exercises and make sure we demonstrate them, explain you through them, and what we think works best for growing top, middle, and bottom of your chest.
100%. I think when you train chest, it's actually quite simple in comparison to a lot of other muscles.
Yeah.
You compare it to like a back, where you've got rows, you've got pull downs,
So
you've
many
got
different
variations that actually get the whole back. Chest is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Got your upper, got your mid, got your lower.
Push a bit, fly a bit,
Pretty
we'll
much
be
all
all
we've
right.
got to do. So we're going to choose 3 exercises to show you guys how to do them, and then also just take you through a little warm up on how we would normally warm up for a chest day, and just go from there.
Yeah, sweet, sounds good.
Yeah,
Let's crack
how's
on.
your holiday?
Yeah, it was nice. It was good. Got back 2 days ago. It was nice.
Yeah.
Good. You had one not long ago either.
Nah, what, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Enjoy it?
Yeah, loved it, man.
Good.
Train while you were out there?
I did actually. I did. Yeah. I love training on holiday. Do you?
Yeah.
I feel like you have to. A little
Yeah, I think I always say to my clients, like when I'm on holiday or whatever else, the main 2 things I always try and focus on is just literally, have I got enough protein in the day? I kind of let myself eat what I want, but within reason. But protein intake is like my number 1, and then number 2 is, I'd say, depending on how, if you're going away for like 3 days, what's the point? But
consistent.
if you're going away for like a week or 2 weeks like we did, I'd rather get some sessions in, even if it's just 3 or 4 times in that week. I don't go as crazy as normal, like my sessions are probably no more than an hour, but, do you know what I mean?
No, yeah. I don't go crazy at all. I actually kind of treat it like a deload week.
Yeah.
So my numbers will be down, be hitting about 60, 70%, if that. Only a couple of sets, reps, up to an hour tops, like you said, but probably wouldn't actually make it that long, especially if you go somewhere hot. I feel like it's a lot harder in the heat. And if you've been drinking, which some people do, if you've been eating as well, it's going to be a bit more sluggish session. So yeah, I think training when you're away doesn't make improvements, but it definitely makes it a lot better for when you're back. Like I haven't struggled coming back this week. Whereas you see it and hear it all the time that, the first session back's the hardest because I've had, 10 days off because I've been away. We just did 2 or 3 sessions, your muscles are still switching on, you're waking up. And you're just not putting on loads of weight because you're just, you can sit by a pool for 8 hours a day. Yeah. You just get up and move or go for a run or just do 45 minutes. It's just better than not starting.
Yeah.
So I find it helps me, especially when I restart when I come back.
Yeah, I think, again, that and protein for me just keeps me consistent as well. So
I mean, how do you not eat your protein on holiday, right? You got meats everywhere, whether it's all inclusive where you're paying for it.
A lot of people tend not to.
It's cooked well as well.
I think if there's one thing I see in most people's diets in general, outside or inside holidays, is protein intake. It's always drastically low. What do you want to chuck on here for the warm-up?
Chuck on 15s?
Yeah.
Or around 50 to start with, nice and easy.
So, as you guys probably remember, me and Shane do train a little bit differently. He trains more for strength, I train a little bit more for hypertrophy, so I don't know how heavy you're going to go because your shoulder, but we'll see.
Yeah, so I'm still nursing my shoulder injury, so we're going to look after it. I'm still going to go through some strength movements to build it back up, but I'm not going to go crazy percentage-wise.
And again, like, you may have seen just how quick that warm-up was. Personally, I don't know with you, but I think warm-ups in general are a bit overrated. For me, it's more just warm up the joints, warm up the muscles, and take yourself through some warm-up sets before you get to the
I think a big thing people don't stress about is the warm-up sets as well.
Yeah.
You'll probably see us do now, we'll do like, 3, 4, maybe even 5 sometimes if I go heavy. Warm-up sets before I actually start working. Because that is switching on the muscle fibres, it's making the prime muscle I'm about to use. So my pecs, all of my chest are going to wake up my shoulders, my rear delts pressing to the bench.
Yeah.
Whilst doing a bench press. You can activate it, we can mobilise, which you've just done, but also put some weight on the bar and build up slowly from there. I feel like that's a bit overrated.
Yeah, for me, that's mainly what I do. I'll do a really quick warm-up and then do my warm-up sets. If I'm going heavy, probably like 4 warm-up sets.
100%.
Normal sets, warm-up sets for me, because I don't go too heavy normally, it's like 2 warm-ups and straight to it.
I think it's just to manage a load as well.
But there's so many people that do like a half an hour warm-up of all these different mobility exercises, there's different cardio. Personally, I don't think it's needed.
Especially with myself, obviously I'm quite injury prone because of the way I do train.
Yeah.
but I feel like there's so much you can do outside of your session with recovery. You don't need to be spending half hour in a warm-up. It's also what you do outside the session.
I'd rather like a mobility day or a 100%. Day where I do that rather than spending 2 hours in the gym because I've done a half an hour warm-up. Nice. Easy.
Nice and controlled.
How's the shoulder?
Yeah, so it's a bit wobbly, but we're fine. So this is only the second time I've touched a barbell in about 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. It won't go mad heavy.
And I haven't barbell pressed in a very long time.
No, you love a bit of dumbbell, don't you?
Dumbbell.
Which we will take you through as well. So guys, as you can see, we have jumped straight into a bench press. That is going to be exercise number 1. Bench press, compound movement for your chest. Bar coming down to the midline of your chest. What we're looking for is a nice controlled movement and a full lock of the elbows, which you'll see me and Luca do. We have got 2 different styles of training. As you'll see, I might be a little bit quicker and a bit more explosive with my reps. Luca's going to be a bit more controlled. Luca's very much hypertrophy, stretching the muscle. I'm very much used to a strength and conditioning phase, so I look for less volume than Luca will. So Luca's probably going to work to like 10 reps today.
Yes.
I'm going to work to 6 tops.
Yeah, 6 would be my lowest, probably.
But you'll see the difference in the stance we do, in the speed, and how effective we're going to be when we're benching it. But both will stay the same. Bar to chest, lock your elbows out at the top, keep your breathing consistent, control the core.
Form honestly doesn't change. I'd say the main thing is tempo.
Just keep it.
And then again, you'll notice with all the exercises we do today, I'm really focusing on the stretch. We'll be trying on the 10s.
Throw a 10 on, yeah. So I've done 10 at 50, so I'm going to add up 10 each side, so it's going to take me 70 kilo now. Nice and easy. Continue. I'm going to drop it to 6 reps now as it starts to get a little bit heavier.
Easy.
Oh, I need to take this hoodie off in a minute. It's hot. Right with this, yeah? Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So the reason we've started with the bench press is the compound movement for a chest. You have got incline chest press as well with the barbell. With the flat, it allows to work more range of movement. With the bar, you can bring it all the way to the chest. You can lock your arms out, as we've stated. And you're going to be working your front delts as well, along with your triceps. That's the point of compound, right? So we're going to work 2 to 3 plus muscle groups in one exercise and focusing on a lot more stress on those muscle fibers than if we were using dumbbells, which is obviously an isolated movement. Lovely and controlled.
Oh, it's getting close to my workout.
Nice, yeah. Guys, honestly, if you're not throwing compounds into any of your workouts, whether that be a barbell overhead, a bent over row, a bench press, a squat, normally they are going to be a lot more barbell orientated. That's probably one reason why you're not growing a lot, because the stress is only going through single muscle groups at a time, where you've got to be loading it through 2 or 3 muscle groups across a joint with a single exercise. Yeah,
I'd say in particular, like a beginner, too many focus on the isolations. I was guilty of that personally. Doing loads of curls, doing loads of tricep push downs, things like that, but not actually focusing enough on the compounds. You know, if you're advanced, if you're an advanced lifter, or even just intermediate, I think you can start looking at some more isolation stuff, because you've hopefully gone through a lot of the compound work. But, you know, it all depends on like training style as well. Like I said, I still do compounds, but I don't actually do the barbell as much as you.
No.
I mainly do dumbbell work or machine presses, but for years I hit the barbell. Do you know what I mean? I think, you know, the barbell is going to help you probably build the most strength in the chest over any other exercise, and in turn it's going to help you a ton with the other exercises that you're doing for 100%. Chest. But yeah, I'd say especially because I know our podcast is catered around a lot with like beginners and people like that. Yeah. Like 100%. Like we should be doing some variation of bench, either incline or flat. There's small differences between both. Obviously the incline is going to hit the upper chest a little bit more, which is going with the dumbbells in a sec. Yeah. But mid chest, the lower chest, they've shown through studies there's not too much of a difference between the flat any incline with the mid chest, and in terms of growth, the incline actually grow it a little bit more. But in terms of raw strength, if you want to get a little bit stronger as well,
looking at a flat bench.
Flat.
Yeah. And we've probably all heard the old cliche, oh bro, how much you lifting? How much you benching nowadays? It's always the bench press is the ego lift.
Yeah.
Which you can see, the two different styles of what we're training. Luca's a lot more smooth, a lot more volume. I'm a lot more explosive with the strength. We're both doing the exact same reps, just at different tempos. Keep it the same, forget the ego, and just get used to lifting with that barbell. Easy. This man's not touched a barbell in weeks as well, so he's just finished a cut, so I'm a little bit sorry for him today. But I'm coming out of injury, so it's fine. You good? We've got it?
Yeah, good.
Perfect. Nice.
Oh, a long time since I hit that. But again, like Shane was just saying... No, 5. Like you were just saying, I could make the reps faster, could get a bit more explosive with it. And yeah, I could probably bust out a ton more reps. But my main goal, especially over the last year, has been just pure hypertrophy, pretty much. Especially when it comes to the muscle building exercises, that I'd rather focus on that slower tempo.
Yeah.
Hold out that stretch, which obviously then makes it way harder to do more reps with.
100%.
But I have literally seen so much more growth over the last year or two by doing it in that style.
Yeah.
Versus, again, like you were just saying about the ego lifting, it's so easy for someone, and especially if you haven't developed your right form and you're just doing crap form over and over.
And when you've just started and it's all like a bit of a competition with your mates who's benching.
And honestly, like some of the worst injuries I've seen is always from benching. I mean, I damaged my rotator cuff like 12 years ago from this.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at Neil, who we had on the podcast in the first few episodes, obviously the muscle link, if you've ever seen his video that went viral, ripped his chest in half. It's a disgusting video. If you want to go check it out, go to his channel. But yeah, that has made me scared to ever go ego.
And again. You see that recent study that came out with the calf raises?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another reason why I've been focusing on the stretch so much recently.
Yeah.
So those of you who didn't watch, they basically showed, so a normal calf press, you're normally starting from this, it's the bottom range of motion, then you're going all the way up to you're extending the calf. Now typically, for decades, everyone's always been holding the top range of motion where the calf is squeezing, you can feel it the most. What they've actually shown is people just doing this, just at the bottom range of motion, actually had about 40% more muscle growth without even doing...
Almost over a half a percentage, like 50% from it.
Yeah.
It is crazy, but if you think about how the calves are working, when you come to the top, you still got so much more to give as well.
Yeah.
But when you're bringing your shins up, so you're working your perineals as well, you're never getting the whole way up, because obviously most people are tight, or their calves are really tight, and they're wondering why they're not growing. We've said this before, progression doesn't need to come in weights, reps, sets, whatever. It can be pulses, it can be 1.5 reps, it can be time under tension. Just changing that little dynamic, well, like you said, it's made 40% of an increase into muscle mass into calves.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what I've been doing recently with my calf raises in particular...
Thought they were looking good, you know.
Is I get to failure, then I do length and partial, so basically that at the end, and then I hold the stretch until I literally...
So you've got an isometric squeeze in it as
until
well.
I literally can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal. DOMs are bad, but it's worth it.
Just in case leg DOMs weren't bad enough. Lovely. So as you can probably hear Luca breathing here, you can't make sure you're breathing through your lifting, whether it's any type of lifting, whether you're dumbbell, barbell, whatever. Breathing is so underrated and it's been looked into so much. But I try to preach this to all my clients, newcomers that come on, whether they've lifted before or haven't. Control your breathing on the reps, every single set, every single exercise. Hold in your core, hold in your lung capacity, and it will make such a difference to your lift. So with the bench, you're looking at the eccentric. As you're coming down, pulling the bar towards your chest, you're breathing in, you're holding in everything you've got. And once you're touching that chest, you're going to breathe out and lock your arms up. So that's going to explode all of your force away from the bar, pushing up and away from you, which way you can probably hear or see us breathing quite heavy.
Especially
it makes such a difference, yes.
Incline, dumbbells, more me.
Yeah, this is a bit of you. Top of the chest we're going to be working now.
I think the top weight they got here is what, 30. So probably work your way up to that. Probably do one warm-up set personally.
Yeah. Top of the pecs.
Just go from there.
Cool. I'm going to start off with the warm-up set as well. See what our weight's like. So obviously with the incline press, we're working more at the top of our pecs, and that rolls into the front of our delts. So that's the front of your shoulders, your anterior delts.
Yeah, I'd say if you want your chest to show through your t-shirt, like actually showing that, that's when you want to
pick mine out.
That's where you want to hit the incline a lot more. I'm mainly focusing on incline, like I've said in our podcast episodes prior. Personally, I just prefer the way it feels. I interchange between dumbbells and barbell, depending on whatever program I'm doing. I do prefer dumbbell just because I can get a bit more of a stretch, as you're probably going to notice soon.
So with the dumbbells, this is more of an isolated movement, but with the weight it turns it into a compound as well, because like I said, we are going to be using our shoulders and again our triceps.
You notice I go right past the chest.
So he gets a much bigger squeeze, okay?
Massive stretch.
See the length he's getting here? The dumbbells are actually coming in line with his chest. It means he's stretching those pec major muscles, them fibres, getting a bigger stretch reflex and locking it out at the top. So there's more of a range of movement where he's locking out. So basically in terms when he recovers, there's more to recover, there's more rips in them fibres, which then in turn increases your hypertrophy, muscle mass, and obviously your strength as well.
Yeah, crazy pump.
How did you go for?
Just 10. Probably go straight to 30 after this. What do you think around like failure training and things like that?
Oh, I love it.
I think there's a lot of complications that people go on around failure. Like, do you have to train to failure? Should you train every set to failure? Past failure, all these types of things, especially with like the mental thing that's been going around since like the 70s.
Yeah.
Gained loads of popularity this year again. Do you want to go 30?
Yeah.
I think. Shot. What I typically do, depending on what it is, so like a compound movement like this, so like bench, incline, I'll try not to go to failure at least in the first couple sets.
Yeah.
So there's RIR, which is reps in reserve, and I try and keep similar to RPE. So now you have RPE, reps of perceived exertion, where it's like, I know a 9 out of 10 would be pretty much keeping one rep in the tank. Yeah. Same as that. RIR, I'm basically looking at, okay, so if I'm going for 10 reps, is that I want that 10th rep to be like 1 rep shy from that failure or 2 reps shy from that failure. But then what I typically then do is on the 3rd or 4th set, however many sets I'm doing, I'll then go to that failure point.
Yeah.
And if it's an isolation, as we'll probably see with the chest flies in a sec, I'll then bring that beyond failure as well. Especially on that last set, I'll go literally deep stretch, length and partials, everything, just try and stretch out as much as we can.
Yeah.
I think train to failure on every single set is great. You're going to see loads of muscle growth, but the risk of injury, like, it's going to...
It's so high, and also it's ridiculously hard as well.
Yeah.
That's not me shying away from a bit of hard work, because I'm fine with it, I'm used to it. But it's the case of your CNS system, the science base behind it. You can't be pushing to failure every single set, every exercise, every rep, every single day in every single session.
Yeah.
So you've got to be smart about it as well. You've got to be science-based as much.
I think,
as
you know, if you're only
weight.
training twice a week, then maybe you should train to failure a little bit more.
Fine.
But if you're training as much as we do, if you keep training to failure every single time...
We could look at anything from 4 or 5 sessions a week to maybe 7 or 8. You can't be going to failure every single time, right? Mm-hmm. I feel it though. How are them RIRs doing?
For this, I would say, is 1 rep shy.
That's good. Whew. I'm very much more numbers based, maybe because of the way I've been taught with strength and conditioning, progression, progressive overload, and obviously now with CrossFit it's very much numbers, overload with percentages for progression.
Yeah.
I do like the RIR and obviously the RPE, but also I'm very much, if I'm going to do 4 sets of 8 this today, I'm going to try to do 4 sets of 10 next week, or I will have a progression somewhere.
Yeah,
so
100%.
That's kind of another version of my science base, which is where we just train differently.
Which in turn is still RIR if you think about it.
Yeah.
If your reps in reserve last week was 1 and you only got to 8, and your reps in reserve is 1 again, but now you got to 9. It's kind of the same thing, right? They did a recent study where they basically showed that a set of 5 reps taking near to failure is pretty much inhibits the same amount of growth as a set of 10 reps to failure. Yeah. So again, it's one of those things where a lot of people say about like high volume is what builds muscle. It doesn't have to. Like, as long as you're taking it to or near failure on like at least a few sets a week,
I think
you're gonna have muscle growth. Easy.
One message to send to people especially, which is one I learned quite early on, your muscle groups don't know a number. No. My chest doesn't know if I'm doing 8, doesn't know if I'm doing 10 or 12 or 15, right? And I've had this in training sessions or training programs with my clients, and they'll be, oh, why is it always 10? Why is it 12? Or why have you changed it from 12 to 10 today? Well, because it's, again, your RPE rate, it's what have you gone from last week? We can set the boundary in the numbers for 10 or 12, but if you can go to 15 and still have 5 reps in reserve, why not push it, right? Your chest doesn't know whether it's hit 8 or 15. It knows how tired and stressed the muscle fibers are, and that's what we need to look at working with. Very good, lad. Good. Let's go. Pick it up. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to have 30 seconds.
Oh, so quite short rest times as well.
Yeah, this is more of a CrossFit dumbbell session here. Right, so exercise number 3 out of our top 3 exercises, grow your chest. We are jumping into cable chest flies. Starting from the top, you're going to weigh down, get your hands in the middle.
I'm trying to focus on here. It's getting a bit more of the under chest. I'd also suggest, they haven't got one here, one of my favourite other under chest exercises, as well as tricep, is really deep dips.
Oh yeah.
So you can just go 90 degree on dips and you're just going to hit a bit of the tricep. But if you go full depth, one, you're going to get a bigger stretch on the triceps.
I love tricep dips, we said.
But then go even deeper, that under chest, which I think is actually one of my strongest points.
You get a deficit as well.
You're going to get a crazy stretch for the under chest.
I've not done these in so long.
I don't really do these that much anymore, if I'm honest. But basically, to take away from it, guys, it doesn't have to be these exact exercises, but a flat, so that can be a chest press, a barbell bench, dumbbell press, some variation of a flat bench, some variation of an incline. Again, my personal favorite is dumbbells, or if there's a very good incline machine, like a Panatta or Atlantis machine, they're pretty good. But most gyms aren't going to have that. So I typically would just stay with dumbbell incline because of that stretch that I showed you earlier. I think, again, I'm sure you should agree, some variation of a fly.
Yeah.
How many sets a week do you reckon someone should be doing on this in terms of chest?
Think, as we've obviously said before, I think it's science-based. It's hard because if you train 6 times a week or you train twice a week,
yeah,
it's going to be harder. I think minimal, if you're looking at like, someone that trains 2-3 times a week, 8 to 10 sets per muscle group.
Yeah.
Mainly try and focus on the compound movement if you can. If you've got more time to isolate and you're looking at a bigger spread of volume across the week that you're training, so you're talking 5, 6, 7 sessions a week, up to 20, and every single rep should be about 2 to 8 seconds, with about 3 to 5 sets on every exercise that we're doing that in.
I agree.
You
Yeah.
So anywhere from 8 to 20 sets,
yeah,
depends on the load that you're working with in a week space.
Again, I say beginner, start at like, 8, maybe even a little bit less than that if you're a complete beginner.
Literally 2-3 sets twice a week is 4 to 6 sets.
But yeah, anything between 8 to 20. I'd say what I do, and I'm sure you agree again, is especially if you're trying to develop like a particular body part, particular muscle group, is whatever muscle you want to build more, add more volume to that, reduce the volume on whatever muscle you don't. So say for example, you've got a really strong back, your chest is lacking, but you do 20 sets a week on back, only 10 sets on chest, reduce the volume on the back a little bit, increase it on chest. That's what I typically do every 3 to 6 months, is just choose, okay, my triceps could do a little bit more work, so I'm going to increase the volume to that. Also prioritize the exercises that you want to do as well. So even though, the general rule of thumb is always start on compounds, let's say as an example, your chest is massive, but your triceps are just lacking for whatever reason, I would then actually do triceps before chest, as stupid as it sounds. Purely,
you're going to fatigue them first, right?
Well, purely because, say for example, you've been training for 2 years, and you've tried all different programs, but for whatever reason your triceps just aren't growing, because most programs out there are always going to put arms last. They're not really going to say like do triceps before chest as an example, or triceps before back as an example. I would then look at, okay, it's really lacking, but my chest has really grown. It sounds like you shouldn't do it, but I have experimented with this, is put the chest last. If you're not too fussed about your chest growing anymore or getting any stronger.
Focus on your weakness.
Focus on your weak point. Do that for like 3 months. I promise you that will grow as well.
Yeah, make a change.
It's even like the legs. Like, of course, you should probably start with the compound, squats or deadlifts or whatever else. But again, if hamstrings is your real weak point and you're not too fussed about getting stronger on deadlifts or stronger on squats, you're obviously going to have to dampen the load a little bit. You can't go from hamstring curls and leg extension and then go super heavy on squat.
Max 100% on your squats.
No, but reduce the volume a little bit on that.
Yeah.
And then go to something else. Again, you'll see growth in that specific body part you want to grow. Again, this is going more on the intermediate side of things.
This is when you start to learn your weaknesses, what you've trained at. Like we said, you need some experience as to what's growing the quickest and different programs to learn this. And then when you're into that intermediate phase of a couple of years worth of training, you can start to pick up the weak points and then start to regrow new muscles and change your programs.
100%. And again, general rule of thumb for an absolute beginner or just a regular gym goer, if you're not too fussed about like having a fully aesthetic, everything matching body, just always compounds first.
Yeah.
They're the things that are really good at build the most strength and size.
What do you think about women with their compounds?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Good answer.
Yeah. Listening to a really interesting podcast though around women, and I have noticed this. I don't know if you have with my female clients, that their strength endurance tends to be a lot better in the general rule of thumb
so much stronger.
than men. For example, like we both train with one of our friends, Gemma, and whenever I train with her, okay, our 1 rep maxes can be very different, but then she can do like 20 reps of her 80%.
Yeah.
You asked me to do that
crazy.
with my 80 or 90%. I ain't getting more than
I'm getting like
8.
Eight is top.
If that.
Can't be repping it for 20.
You know?
But
And it was a really interesting podcast.
A lot longer.
And this guy was basically doing this study, works at UCLA University in America, and has basically done this study where he had these American lifters, I think they were CrossFit athletes actually. And he had the CrossFit athletes, the top female and the top male, and just showed how like the top female's 1 rep max and then 90% like pretty much the same. So for example, let's say they squatted 100 kg and 90% is 90 kg. That 90 kg they could have 20 reps with. They get to the 100, they can only do 1. Whereas the men, it was vastly different. Their 1 rep max, let's say, was a 150.
Will be a lot higher.
But then 90%,
the threshold of doing
like
up to 20 reps.
their 20 reps was like, I don't know, let's say 90 as an example. It was a vastly different number. I say that's the only thing that I've noticed training more and more women is strength endurance tends to be a lot stronger. But that's it. That's the only difference that I've personally come across with training women and training with women in comparison to males. Again, it's a general rule of thumb. There's definitely women that have got a lot more explosivity, which probably then go into powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, and things like that. But I think we'll call it there.
Yeah, sweet. Sound good with that?
Guys.
Those are your top 3 exercises to grow your chest.
Yeah, hopefully we're trying to chop and change the videos here and there. Just hopefully still have it podcast style with our workouts, but obviously still have the podcast along with. Just to show you generally everything that we can accomplish fitness and
different
health.
aspects of it as well.
Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, if you want your questions answered, just ask us any questions in YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, follow us on everything. And pretty much go from there.
Hit us up, we'll answer it as best as we can.
Good.